Oh, hey, I didn't see you guys there. How you doing? It's Venom, and we're here with another Palworld video. And I am here sitting comfy in my evening robe, here with my fresh coffee, and we're going to do another Palworld video. Today's video is actually going to be on features I would like to see added to Palworld. Now, I actually recorded this one earlier, a couple days ago, but I hated it, so I deleted it, and we're going to do it over again. Because some of the stuff I had on there, I didn't like it so much, and then some of the stuff I went back and check out the trailer that we just got for Feybreak, and there's actually one of the things I wanted was actually on that trailer. I'm not going to talk about it quite yet, but one of the items, I'll go ahead and say it. I was actually talking about wanting an energy sword. I like the fact that we had a laser rifle, and I wanted a laser sword. Well, there's actually, and I'm going to pull it up here so you guys can see it. There you go. Something I didn't notice was that there's actually a laser sword on the damn preview. It's right here on the beginning. Like, I actually went through and I catted all these pals here. We talked about it on stream, and I pulled a video later on. She's actually got a laser sword, so hopefully that's actually in the game. That is something I actually wanted. I did speak about how I thought that I would kind of like want a tech tier of stuff, kind of like an Arc, but I also didn't want them to rip too much off Arc. But in Arc, I really love the tech stuff. I love the tech suit. I love all the laser stuff. It was amazing. So I got rid of that. But these are going to be a bunch of other things I would like to see in Palworld added in. Some of these are going to be quality of life. Some of these are just going to be just things I'd just like to see. And the first thing is going to be something I happen to notice on the Palworld Discord as well. I'm going to go on the Discord at some point and do a video based on there, but this one I happen to have myself that I actually saw on Discord, and I think it's one that a lot of people have talked about wanting, and that is resources being shared between bases. Right now, resources are not shared between bases, which means if you're trying to build up another base, you basically have to build up resources there to do so. You can't like go to another base and build a bunch of buildings there without like gathering stone and crap. It's a pain in the ass. It'd be very easy to just have all your resources in one spot in one base, and then you can use them at other bases. Now, I'm not saying being able to use them anywhere, only at actual bases that you yourself are building. So shared resources between bases would be really great. You wouldn't then also have to transport them around either. Say if I have a couple bases where I had pals mining up a bunch of ore, I could then just go to my machines at my main base, hit those furnaces, say cook all this ore, and it would cook it. Which is going to bring me to the next thing on my list, and that is set it up to where you have cyclic crafting. For example, let's say I have a furnace and I wanted to just constantly turn all my ore into ingots. I just click, hey, constantly craft this one, and it constantly would pull ore and turn that into ingots, and then pals, of course, would take those ingots and put them in their specific places. So cyclic crafting or constant crafting would be an option that I would really like to see. Next up, more specific item sorting for our containers. Now right now, pals can take items to boxes for you, no problem. And you can actually set your boxes to only take certain items, so it basically kind of sorts themselves out. The pals will put them in whatever box they can. However, more specific item sorting is something I would like. Right now we have categories, but those categories sometimes aren't specific enough. For example, for ingots, ingots are any kind of ingot, including charcoal. Charcoal counts as an ingot. To me, that's not something that should really be an ingot, even though it makes sense because it's cooked in that machine. It's still not really an ingot to me. So, some kind of more specific item sorting, we can actually say, hey, I want only this one item to go in here. Same thing for the refrigerators. So I'm constantly having to go back and forth and swap items in between the fridges because my pals just toss whatever they want to in between the two fridges. I've got one fridge set up for raw materials and one fridge set up for cooked food or like processed stuff like flour. And they keep swapping them back and forth. That becomes a pain in the ass because you're not using all your room to your potential. So that's a bit of a pain. So more specific item sorting is something I'd really like to see. Next up, this is one that I hope they add in. I'm not sure. These next couple might need an engine upgrade. I don't know how that would work with the engine they're using right now. But the first one's going to be letting us store items on pals like you can in Arc. And again, I know I'm bringing up comparisons to other games. I know that can be kind of a dicey area considering the lawsuit that Nintendo's bitch ass is currently doing against Pocket Pair and Palworld. But let's face it, Palworld is just an amalgamation of a bunch of games that we love, and they're taking the best features out of them and putting them in there. So let's go ahead and just call it what it is. I mean, it's technically speaking copying, but it's not really copying. They're doing their own thing with a bunch of systems from other games that we love, and frankly, I'm all for it. And in that spirit, I think that being able to put items in your pals like you can the dinos in Arc would be a really good way to go. In fact, it's kind of weird you can't. Like for example, right now you can get pals that will increase your carry capacity, but they themselves can't really carry items on them. They'll pick up items, but I can't like open up their inventory and like store items on there. Now you can do that in Arc. Each dinosaur's got its own carry capacity. You can load up ingots and ores or whatever you want to on them and have them transport them for you. Something like that in Palworld would be great. Right now, only really we can store stuff on our persons. Pals can transport stuff for you to, like, they'll pick up stuff off the ground or out of machines and put them in a chest, but having actual storage. Like, maybe not even every single pal, maybe only specific pals have, like, a transport skill. Take, like, the mammoths, for example. Give them a transport skill where they can actually hold, you know, a few tons of rocks or something like that, or jet dragon, or some other flyer. You know, they can hold certain items. You can put, like, a saddle, like a pouch saddle on them, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. So, being able to store items on pals would be the next thing I'd like to see. Now, this next one is going to be kind of an upgrade to a quality of life thing we've already gotten. When the game first came out, when you were over encumbered, if you were too over encumbered, you just couldn't move. Like if you're more than like a couple of pounds over encumbered, you weren't just slow walking, you weren't moving at all, or you were moving like literally at a snail's pace. And I change it to where no matter how encumbered you are, you can walk at a slow pace, which is fine. But here's what I'd like them to change instead. While you're in your base, you can't be encumbered. While you're in your base. That's something I like to see, is while you're in your base. I say that because oftentimes you're transporting a lot of heavy crap around your base. Like you're picking up your ingots from your machines, you're picking up your food, you're picking up all the items that are crafted by your pals. Walking around your base at that slower pace is a pain in the ass, so either make it to where you walk at a normal walking pace and you just can't run, or while you're within the borders of your base, you can't be encumbered. You can hold whatever you want to. You're not over encumbered. I think that would actually be a really good feature to have. You just cannot be over encumbered in your base. And then if we don't get the inventory sharing in between bases, then all we got to do is put down our bases, grab, the hundreds and thousands of items we want to bring with us, and just transport directly to that base. And since we're inside of our base, we're not going to be over encumbered. It would make things a lot easier. So make it to where we're not encumbered inside of our bases. Once you step outside the border of that base, though, boom, immediately encumbered again. But while you're in the base, make it to where you are not encumbered, or to where you can at least walk at a regular walking speed, even if you can't run. Next up, again, I don't know how hard this is going to be because of the game engine that we have, but use your underwater area. Give us an entire underwater biome. Again, Ark does the same thing. They had a underwater biome. I know the comparison is there. I've always compared Palworld more to Ark with Pokemon versus Pokemon with guns. To me, it feels like an Ark game with a bunch of colorful creatures. So to me, it feels more like Ark than it does Pokemon. Ark's got an awesome underwater area. It's got a whole underwater biome. It's pretty amazing. I think if they use their underwater area, they're going to really expand what they can do with it. I mean, the game is on an island. There's a ton of water. You got a ton of real estate you can actually use. Now, that'll actually give us a ton of underwater pals, because you would have to have some underwater pals to go down there. You could easily set up to where you had, like, to breathe underwater, you got to have, like, some kind of scuba gear. You can make that scuba gear take up your accessory slots, which means you'd be weaker. You wouldn't have your attack and defense charms and stuff like that on. You'd have to have your scuba stuff on, which means you would then have to plan your underwater adventures a bit more. You'd have to have some good underwater pals. Right now, everybody's got their flying pals. You don't always have your sea pals, your ocean pals. Well, this would give us a reason to have some really good ocean pals, not just having some flyers, because right now, you can really just kind of get away just having a jet dragon and be fine. Now, with an underwater area, well, jet dragon's not going to do it anymore. Now you need to have some underwater pals. Something like that I think would be pretty cool. An entire underwater area, let us build down there. When we put down a base, we can put down like a pal box with like a dome, like a special underwater pal box. We can just have a shit ton of water pals under there. You can put some underwater caves in there. You can do a lot with it. Now, it would more likely be a ginormous update, but that would be a really cool thing to do. And you don't even have to stop there. If you're doing underwater, you can also do some kind of sky base too. When we've got land already, you can do under the water, and you can have some kind of floating islands. I mean, it's a mythical area. Give us some kind of floating islands or some kind of real high mountainous areas with like very little walkways to go through, to where you have like a flying pal area, something like that too. So I would start with the underwater area, but I mean, we can get really creative with some of these biomes that we're going to. Next up, summoning. Now right now, to do your rage, you have to summon a raid boss in your base, which means for most of us, we've got a base that we don't put anything at except for a summoning circle, except for a summoning altar. That basically means that if we want to summon creatures, that we can only have 3 bases at the moment. We can't use that 4th base unless you want to summon the creature at your base and have it destroy everything, which you don't want to do. So that means that right now with the system we got, we still only have 3 bases. Our 4th base has to be used for summoning, which brings me to this point. I would like a dedicated part on the map where we can summon creatures, like an infinite summoning circle, an infinite summoning stone. Maybe like in a volcano or something, or some kind of arena you can go into. It's got like a PAL box inside of it you can access and bring out your PALs for the fight. It's got a permanent summoning stone right there. It'll be maybe like an arena or something. You bring out your PALs, you put in whatever you want to summon, and it's just a permanent fighting arena, some kind of permanent place to summon your PALs and to summon your raid bosses without having to worry about giving up on your bases, because as of right now, I've got 3 bases down. I've got my breeding base, I've got my main base, I've got my base where I've got a bunch of PALs, mining up ore and stuff like that. My 4th base is literally just a PAL box, and it's got a summoning thing there ready for me to summon, and that is it. That's all you can do with that base if you want to be able to summon things. I think it's a waste of a base. Now, I understand needing a base to put it down because you need your PAL box to fight PALs. Otherwise, I would say just make it to where you could just put down that summoning arena wherever, but then you can't summon out your PAL team, which kind of sucks. That's really just a downside of the way they design these raids. I think that the way they design it is what's kind of screwing us right now. So yeah, just give us a dedicated place to summon these. You don't necessarily have to use it. Give us both options. Give us a dedicated place to summon it, and give us the option to build in our bases too. And I think people would do whichever one they prefer. So give us a dedicated place to summon, and I think that would alleviate the 4th base issue. And the last 2 issues here, or not the last 2 issues, the last 2 things I'd like to see, both involve flying. Now, one I think might have been taken care of, and that is give us a PAL besides Jet Dragon that flies really fast. Now, right now, Jet Dragon is kind of an all-around good PAL because it's super strong. It can fly. Not only can it fly, but it's the fastest flyer in the game, and it hovers. If it had legs, it would at least have a weakness. It's got no legs, which means that over water, it's not going to drown. That's the biggest weakness of flying PALs, going over water. If it's got legs and you run out of stamina, it'll start drowning. So you have to have a PAL that's either a Jet Dragon or anything else that's got no legs, or an Asagon, because Asagon never lands even though it has legs. So we need some kind of PAL that can actually give us a reason to not use Jet Dragon anymore. Now, I think that Black Dragon in the previews you saw coming from Feybreak might be it, but it was walking on the ground, which means that even if it is as fast as Jet Dragon, if it walks on the ground, it would be unsafe to take it over water. And we got some pretty far out. Like, there are some places that are so far out that even a Jet Dragon with infinite stamina is going to have an issue trying to get out there without drowning, or without running out of stamina. So unless we get another PAL that can fly as fast as Jet Dragon that doesn't have an issue running out of stamina over water, then Jet Dragon is still going to be pretty much stuck in everybody's team. And that kind of sucks. You shouldn't have had to be forced to use a certain PAL. And right now, Jet Dragon is pretty much forced to be in that position. The last thing is, and I said there were 2 here, both involve flying, give us a jetpack instead. Give us a jetpack. Like I said, I was a huge fan of the tech tier stuff in Ark. I like the fact you could have a jetpack. Give us a jetpack or some kind of glider suit. Not just a glider, but something where we can actually just fly on our own. Give us some kind of fuel or something you can use. We got tons of oil. Let us turn that oil into fuel, or give us something, but let us have a jetpack we can fly around on its own and not have to worry about a flying PAL at all. Let us fly under our own steam. So that's just another idea I got. I just like jetpacks. So that is going to do it for today, guys. Thank you for coming by. If you've got any ideas of your own, let me know what they are down below. I'm going to go through the Discord, the official Palworld Discord at some point, and take a look at some of the other ideas that people have, and I'll do a video on those as well. And I'm probably just going to take a look at that Discord in general and see what's going on in there, because I don't go in there too often unless I'm looking for like official news, which I have been doing here recently because of Feybreak. But now that Feybreak's out, I got the info I need, and now I'm doing a bit more laid-back stuff like, features I'd like to see. So, if you like what we're doing here on the channel, please sub to it. If you liked the video, please leave a like on it. Thank you all for coming by, and I will see you on the next video.